The Galactic Consual Senate tried to disarm humanity, but Earth's response left them speechless. Admiral Jack Morrison stood at the command deck viewport of the Pacific Fleet, flagship UES Vigilant, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. His eyes, sharp despite his 58 years, scanned the routine patrol data scrolling past. 50 years after humanity's first contact, such patrols had become standard procedure, necessary vigilance in a galaxy that, while mostly peaceful, still harbored ancient tensions and rivalries. "Admiral, we've received the monthly report from Ambassador Carter," Lieutenant Ramirez announced, forwarding the data packet to Morrison's personal console. Morrison nodded silently. Lisa Carter was Earth's voice in the Galactic Senate, and while their communication was mostly formality, he never failed to review her reports personally. Something about today's transmission caught his attention, subtle tension in her wording that seemed off compared to her usual diplomatic prose. Meanwhile, 37 light-years away on Nexus Prime, Ambassador Lisa Carter adjusted her formal diplomatic attire one last time before her monthly briefing to the Galactic Senate. At 53, Carter had served as humanity's chief diplomat for 7 years, navigating the complexities of interspecies politics with both wisdom and caution. "Ambassador, the Volari delegation has requested a private meeting before your scheduled address," her assistant informed her. Carter frowned. The Volari avian humanoids with iridescent feather crests and the oldest continuing civilization in known space rarely sought private audiences. As founding members of the Senate, they typically conducted business through formal channels. "Schedule it," she replied, "and notify Earth Intelligence Standard Protocol." Humanity had come far since that momentous day when the Sothic exploration vessel had appeared in Earth's orbit. From terrified planetary inhabitants to a thriving mid-tier power, with colonies spanning dozens of systems, humans had adapted to galactic society with remarkable speed. This adaptability had earned them respect and wariness from the 12 species comprising the Galactic Senate. What most Senate species didn't know, however, was the extent of Earth's defensive preparations. While publicly maintaining only the agreed-upon military presence, humanity had quietly developed extensive lunar bases and asteroid defensive platforms. These preparations weren't out of paranoia, but prudence. Earth's leadership had studied enough galactic history to recognize recurring patterns when older civilizations felt threatened. President George Hamilton sat in the Oval Office reviewing the latest reports from Earth's colonies. At 62, his silver-streaked dark hair and thoughtful demeanor projected both authority and compassion, qualities that had won him the presidency twice. Hamilton believed in peaceful coexistence with alien civilizations, but maintained a pragmatic appreciation for strength. "Mr. President," his chief of staff announced, "Admiral Morrison has flagged Ambassador Carter's latest report. He's requesting a secure conference." Hamilton glanced at the highlighted sections of Carter's report. The usual diplomatic language was there, but reading between the lines revealed concerns about increasing mentions of balanced development and appropriate technological pacing in recent Senate discussions. Schedule it for this evening," Hamilton replied, "and include Secretary Ward and General Brooks." Across Earth's government, a hushed optimism prevailed, tempered by whispers of younger species anxiety among Senate members. Humanity's rapid advancement from planetary civilization to multi-system power in just 5 decades had broken all previous records. While many celebrated this progress, experienced diplomatic staff recognized the signs of growing unease among certain elder species. Carter's meeting with the Volari delegation was brief and cordial, though she noted their questions focused suspiciously on Earth's defensive capabilities and colonial expansion plans. Speaker Zuthmar, with his violet plumage and ancient eyes, had maintained perfect diplomatic courtesy, while probing for information that went beyond standard diplomatic exchange. Later that evening, as Carter prepared for her monthly address, her console chimed with an urgent priority message bearing Senate encryption. The document's title froze her blood. Senate Resolution 2847X mandated disarmament of human systems and colonies. The resolution was comprehensive total human disarmament within 90 days, including dismantling of all military vessels exceeding frigate-class surrender, of all weapons technologies beyond specific thresholds, and submission to Senate inspection teams at all human installations. Most disturbing was the voting record every species had voted in favor. Even the Karathi humanity's strongest allies had supported the resolution. Carter immediately initiated an emergency quantum transmission to Earth. In Washington, Morrison Hamilton's Secretary of Defense Helen Ward and General Ryan Brooks gathered in the White House Situation Room. The resolution's text was displayed on the main screen, its implications sinking in like a stone. "This isn't just disarmament," Morrison said, breaking the silence. "This would leave us defenseless against any second-tier power, let alone a founding species." "The timeline is suspicious," Carter's holographic image noted. 3 days to prepare for an emergency session is deliberately short. They're expecting us to be unprepared or divided. "What's our recourse under Senate law?" Hamilton asked. Secretary Ward, a former judge with expertise in interstellar law, shook her head. "Limited. We could appeal, but the appeals process takes months during which the resolution would remain in effect." "We need to understand their true motivation," Brooks added. The general's normally calm demeanor had hardened. "No one demands disarmament without plans for the power vacuum." Carter nodded. "I'll activate our diplomatic back channels, see what intelligence I can gather before the emergency session. And I'll prepare our military options," Morrison said grimly. Hamilton raised a hand. "Let's be clear, we will not surrender our right to self-defense. But neither will we rush to conflict. Ambassador Carter will represent our position forcefully, but leave room for negotiation." As the meeting concluded, Hamilton remained behind with Morrison. "Jack, how quickly can we implement Project Safeguard if necessary?" Morrison's expression remained neutral. "The lunar installations are at 97% readiness. Asteroid platforms at 89%. If pushed, we could have all systems operational within 72 hours. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that," Hamilton replied. The next morning, Carter faced a private meeting with Speaker Zuthmar in the Senate's ancient Hall of Accord. Ambassador Zuthmar began his voice melodic yet firm. "Surely you understand this resolution comes from concern for galactic stability." "Oh, Speaker, with respect, stability is not served by rendering one species defenseless," Carter countered. Zuthmar's feathers rippled a sign of irritation in Valari. "Your species has advanced from planetary conflict to interstellar capability in mere decades. What other species might view as normal security measures appear quite different when developed at such unprecedented speed. We have adhered to every treaty, every regulation." "Yes," Zuthmar interrupted. "Technically. Yet your military research continues at alarming rates. Your colonization patterns suggest strategic positioning rather than economic expansion." Carter maintained her diplomatic composure, though inwardly her alarm grew. The Valari weren't just concerned, they were frightened. If there are specific concerns about our development, surely these could be addressed through standard diplomatic channels, rather than forced disarmament. "The Senate has spoken unanimously, Ambassador. We expect Earth's compliance within the specified time frame." As Carter left the meeting, she noticed representatives from other younger species watching her, with mixed expressions of sympathy and fear. Something had shifted in the galactic political landscape, and humanity was now its focus. Back on Earth, General Brooks and Secretary Ward had convened a classified briefing with Earth's top military and intelligence leaders. Dr. Susan Blake, head of Xenointelligence, presented her latest findings. "We've detected unusual communication patterns among Senate founding species over the past 3 months." Blake explained her analytical mind, having pieced together fragments of encrypted transmissions. References to Phase 2 appear repeatedly, often in conjunction with archaeological expeditions near human space. "Archaeological?" Brooks questioned. Yes, specifically focusing on architect ruins. The room fell silent. The architects, a long-vanished species, whose remnant technologies still surpassed modern understanding, had built the faster-than-light transportation network that made interstellar civilization possible. Their disappearance some 50,000 years ago remained the galaxy's greatest mystery. We believe, Blake continued, that several founding species led by the Volari have discovered something significant, something they don't want humans to access. Secretary Ward activated a secure display showing classified sensor readings. These are energy signatures from Volari expeditions in the Tau Ceti system, just outside our territory. They match theoretical models of architect power systems. So this isn't about our weapons at all, Morrison concluded. They've found something valuable and want us out of the picture before we discover it too. Or, Hamilton suggested, entering the room, they've found something dangerous and genuinely fear our reaction to it. Blake nodded. That's possible. Human psychological profiles differ significantly from most Senate species. We tend to embrace risk, seek advancement over stability. Either way, Morrison said, disarmament would leave us vulnerable at exactly the wrong moment. Hamilton turned to Ward. Helen, what's the status of Project Safeguard? The shield technology is ready, she replied. We've successfully tested it at lunar installations. The orbital platforms require another 48 hours for full deployment. And the architect-enhanced generators? Hamilton asked. New Austin Colony has them prepped and hidden, Brooks confirmed. First testing showed 137% efficiency above projections. Hamilton nodded slowly. Blake, I want everything you can find on these archaeological expeditions. Morrison, accelerate Safeguard deployment but maintain secrecy. Carter needs plausible deniability in the Senate. At Outpost Omega Earth's furthest military installation, Commander Kate Wilson observed the sensor readings with growing concern. For the third consecutive day, alien vessels had performed navigational exercises just outside Earth's territory. The fleet composition, primarily Volari, with support from 2 allied species, was decidedly offensive in nature. Wilson recorded her observations in a secured transmission to Earth Command. Fleet movements, consistent with staging area formation. Estimate 67 capital ships with support vessels. Recommend heightened alert status. Meanwhile, on New Austin, Earth's newest and most advanced colony, preparations of a different nature were underway. Chief Engineer Malcolm Rivera supervised the final adjustments to the colony's power grid, specifically the integration of reverse-engineered architect technology that humanity had secretly developed over the past decade. Architect-enhanced generators showing stable output. Rivera reported to Earth Command. Shield capacitors at full charge. We can maintain coverage for 17 days without resupply. As the emergency Senate session approached, Carter worked tirelessly, meeting privately with representatives of younger species. Many expressed sympathy for Earth's position, but feared confronting the founding members. The Volari approached us 3 months ago, confided the Karathi delegate, whose species had been humanity's first ally. They presented evidence that human expansion threatened the stability of architect artifacts throughout the sector. When our scientists questioned their data, we received hints that trade agreements might require re-evaluation. Threats and bribes, Carter noted grimly. You must understand our position, the Karathi continued. The founding species control access to crucial technologies. Many of us cannot risk opposing them openly. Would you consider abstaining from the vote? Carter asked. The Karathi delegate hesitated. I will discuss it with my government. Similar conversations with other species revealed a pattern, systematic pressure, applied across the Senate to isolate humanity. By the session's eve, Carter had secured potential abstentions from 4 species, not enough to block the resolution, but perhaps enough to demonstrate that opposition existed. President Hamilton faced his own difficult decisions. For hours, he deliberated with his advisors on whether to reveal Earth's secret defenses or continue pursuing diplomatic solutions from a perceived position of weakness. If we reveal Safeguard now, Morrison argued it might deter aggression. Or, Secretary Ward countered, it might confirm their fears and accelerate their timeline. What does Blake's intelligence tell us? Hamilton asked. The latest decrypts suggest the Volari are operating on a definite timetable, Brooks reported. Phase 2 is scheduled to begin within 2 weeks of our disarmament deadline. Hamilton's expression hardened. Then, we'll use that timetable against them. Carter will appear to negotiate in good faith while requesting procedural delays. Meanwhile, we'll accelerate Safeguard to full readiness. The President turned to Morrison. Admiral, I need your honest assessment. If this comes to conflict, can we prevail? Morrison considered the question carefully. Against the entire Senate, no. Against the Volari and their closest allies. With Safeguard operational? Yes, we can hold our territory and inflict significant damage. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Hamilton replied. But I won't surrender humanity's future out of fear. As the emergency session convened on Nexus Prime, Carter stood before the assembled Senate. The immense chamber, designed to accommodate representatives from all member species, hummed with tense anticipation. Esteemed colleagues, Carter began, her voice steady. Humanity acknowledges the Senate's concerns regarding stability and security. We share these concerns. However, Resolution 2847X, as currently formulated, would leave human worlds without basic defensive capabilities. Speaker Zuthmar's response was swift. The resolution provides for Senate protection of human systems. Your security would be guaranteed by this body. With respect, Speaker, history, including galactic history, teaches that security guaranteed by others is no security at all. Humanity proposes an alternative, a mutual verification treaty, allowing for reasonable defense while preventing arms escalation. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Carter's counterproposal, while expected, demonstrated more sophistication than the founding species had anticipated. Such proposals require extensive review, Zuthmar replied dismissively. The current resolution stands. The Senate requires Earth's preliminary compliance schedule within 5 standard days. Carter nodded politely. Earth will respond formally within the specified time frame. As she returned to the Earth Embassy, Carter immediately contacted Hamilton. They're not negotiating in good faith. Whatever they've discovered, they're determined to neutralize us before proceeding. Hamilton's holographic image nodded grimly. Then we'll proceed with our contingency. Return to Earth immediately. We'll need you here for what comes next. Over the next 4 days, Earth hummed with activity. Military vessels quietly repositioned, civilian ships were recalled from vulnerable locations, and Project Safeguard entered its final implementation phase. Blake's intelligence team worked around the clock, decrypting intercepted communications and analyzing Volari fleet movements. They're positioning for a show of force, she reported. Multiple battle groups converging near New Austin. They'll want to make an example, Morrison observed. New Austin is our most advanced colony technologically and militarily. Hamilton reviewed the final preparations with his cabinet. We'll address the galaxy in 3 days, just before their deadline expires. Morrison's Safeguard must be fully operational by then. It will be, the Admiral assured him. Carter returned to Earth aboard a diplomatic vessel that broke several speed records in the process. Throughout the journey, she compiled evidence of coercion and manipulation by the founding species, creating a comprehensive case file that could be presented to a wider galactic audience. As Earth prepared its response, the Volari moved with their own purpose. Speaker Zuthmar convened private meetings with military commanders, archaeological experts, and senior politicians. Reports filtered back to Earth, intelligence of heated debates among the founding species. Not all agreed with the Volari's aggressive approach. When the deadline arrived, President Hamilton addressed not just Earth, but the entire galactic community through an unprecedented broadcast that overrode standard Senate communication protocols. Citizens of Earth and the galaxy. Hamilton began his tone resolute, but not confrontational. Today, I speak on a matter of profound importance to humanity, and I believe to all species, who value self-determination and mutual respect. He outlined the Senate's disarmament demand, the lack of genuine negotiation, and Earth's counter-proposal for mutual security arrangements. Humanity rejects the premise that our right to self-defense is subject to revocation. We reject the notion that our rapid development constitutes a threat, rather than a contribution to galactic civilization. Hamilton paused, his expression solemn. We have attempted good faith negotiations and been rebuffed. We have proposed compromise and been ignored. Therefore, I am authorized to reveal that Earth has developed defensive capabilities beyond what is currently known to the Senate. At his signal, the broadcast switched to a live feed from lunar orbit. Before the astonished eyes of the galaxy, Earth's moon shimmered and then glowed with an iridescent energy field, a planetary shield of unprecedented scale. This technology, derived from our study of architect principles, is purely defensive. It violates no treaty and threatens no species. However, similar shields now protect all human worlds. The broadcast returned to Hamilton. Humanity extends once again an offer of mutual security arrangements and technological cooperation. We seek neither dominance nor isolation, but partnership based on equality and respect. Throughout the galaxy, reactions varied dramatically. On Nexus Prime, the Senate erupted into chaos, with younger species openly questioning the founding members' motives. The Volari delegation withdrew into emergency consultation, their communications suddenly encrypted with their highest protocols. In orbit around New Austin, the Volari battle group received new orders. Their original mission to secure compliance through demonstration had transformed into something more urgent. Leading the fleet, Admiral Korzal of the Volari faced a momentous decision. The humans have architect-derived technology, his second-in-command observed. Speaker Zuthmar believes this confirms their danger. Or confirms his fear, Korzal replied quietly. Nevertheless, he gave the order: prepare main cannon for demonstration firing. Target New Austin's northern continent, uninhabited sector. Energy at 30%, warning shots only. On New Austin's surface, automated sensors detected the energy buildup in the Volari flagship. Emergency protocols activated, bringing the colony's shield to full power without requiring human authorization. The Volari weapon discharged a shaft of purple energy that sliced through space toward the planet's surface. When it struck, the shield observers throughout the fleet expected a short-lived resistance, followed by shield collapse. Instead, the shield not only held, but visibly strengthened its luminosity, increasing as it absorbed the alien weapon's energy. The phenomenon had been predicted by Earth scientists, but never tested on this scale. The architect-enhanced generators could convert certain energy types into shield reinforcement. Korzal stared in disbelief. Impossible! Before the Volari could recalibrate, automated defense platforms hidden among New Austin's moons revealed themselves. Small, drone-operated vessels with minimal crews, but substantial firepower. They represented humanity's understanding that while large battleships might be diplomatically provocative, distributed defense systems offered greater practical security. The platforms opened fire, targeting weapon systems on the Volari support frigates. 3 ships sustained significant damage before Korzal could organize a response. Pull back to defensive formation, he ordered. Prepare for... His tactical officer interrupted. Admiral, multiple human signatures detected. They've been waiting outside our sensor range. A relief fleet under Captain Alex Turner had indeed been positioned for exactly this scenario. The UES Defiant led a battle group of 7 vessels, none exceeding the treaty-defined heavy cruiser class, yet each equipped with targeting systems and countermeasures that outperformed their Volari counterparts. This is Captain Turner of Earth Defense Forces, came the transmission to the Volari flagship. You have fired upon a human colony in violation of Senate law and natural sovereignty. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the full defensive capability of humanity. The standoff lasted 17 minutes. Korzal evaluating the shield technology that had neutralized his flagship's primary weapon and the human vessels whose capabilities remained largely unknown, made the only rational choice. "We withdraw under protest," he transmitted. "This matter will be addressed in the Senate." "We look forward to it," Turner replied. As the Volari fleet retreated, humanity had scored its first military victory against a founding species, without deploying planet-killer weapons, without massive casualties, without the apocalyptic scenario many had feared would result from such a confrontation. The news spread throughout the galaxy with unprecedented speed. Sensor records of the shield absorbing the Volari weapon played on information networks across 1,000 worlds. The narrative was shifting. Humanity wasn't merely defending itself. It had shown remarkable restraint in victory. In the aftermath, Turner's forces secured a damaged Volari frigate, abandoned during the retreat. Dr. Blake and Captain Turner personally led the boarding team, hoping to discover intelligence about the Volari's true motives. What they found exceeded their expectations. The ship's database contained extensive surveys of architect ruins, dozens of sites excavated over the past year, their discoveries meticulously documented, but kept hidden from the Senate's official archaeological registry. More disturbing were the personnel logs. "They've been systematically removing evidence," Blake observed, reviewing the records. "Anything suggesting the architects might have left operational technology, not just ruins." When questioned, captured Volari officers eventually revealed the truth. Their civilization had discovered architect repositories that suggested the mysterious precursors weren't entirely gone. Some had escaped whatever cataclysm ended their visible presence, leaving behind technology keyed to respond to species exhibiting specific characteristics: determination, innovation, and ethical restraint in using power. "They feared us," Turner realized. "Not because we might become a military threat, but because we might become the architect's chosen inheritors," Blake finished. When humans began reverse engineering architect principles independently, it confirmed their worst fears. This revelation transformed the conflict. Humanity wasn't fighting merely for its own security, but for access to a legacy that might benefit all species if approached with cooperation rather than competition. Armed with this evidence, Carter prepared to address the Senate once more. Hamilton insisted on accompanying her, the first Earth president to personally attend a Senate session in 30 years. The Senate chamber, still reeling from the new Austin confrontation, fell silent as Hamilton and Carter presented their evidence. Holographic displays showed Volari excavations, concealed architect repositories, and most damaging, the architect's own message, a quantum-encoded statement intended for species reaching a certain developmental threshold. "The galaxy's future lies not in jealous hoarding of power," the translation read, "but in cooperation among diverse minds. Those who share advancement will themselves advance further." Speaker Zuthmar attempted to dismiss the evidence as human fabrication, but other founding species reviewing the authentication protocols acknowledged its validity. The Karathi delegation, emboldened by humanity's stand, proposed a revolutionary solution: a shared research initiative into architect technology with representatives from all Senate species. The chamber erupted into heated debate. Younger species, long restricted from certain technologies by the founders' controlled access policies, overwhelmingly supported the human Karathi proposal. Several founding species, recognizing the shifting political reality, joined them. After 3 days of negotiation, the Senate voted on what would become known as the Architect Accord, a framework for technological sharing with safeguards against military applications. The resolution passed with an overwhelming majority. Only the Volari and 2 closest allies voted against it, with Speaker Zuthmar delivering a thinly veiled warning. History will judge this moment harshly when the consequences of unrestricted technological proliferation become apparent. Hamilton, Morrison, and Carter stood together on the Senate floor as the vote was certified. Around them, human and alien engineers were already forming working groups to begin joint research into architect repositories. "They'll try again," Morrison said quietly, watching the Volari delegation exit. "Different approach, same goal." Let them, Carter replied. We've changed the game. The younger species won't accept marginalization anymore. Hamilton nodded. The galaxy feared our rise because they misunderstood our intentions. Now, they'll learn to rise with us. As they departed the Senate chamber, Carter noticed something symbolic. Younger species representatives, grouped around humans, asking questions, proposing collaborations. In one swift crisis, humanity had transformed from potential threat to essential partner. Aboard the Vigilant returning to Earth, Orbit Morrison watched the stars with new perspective. His lifelong mission to defend humanity had evolved. Now he protected not just human interests, but a new vision of galactic cooperation. Admiral Lieutenant Ramirez reported, "We're receiving requests for defensive technology sharing from 7 species under the new accord." Morrison smiled slightly. "Send them to the Joint Committee, and Ramirez schedule increased production of shield generators. We'll need more than we anticipated." On New Austin, engineers from 4 species worked alongside humans to study the shield technology that had absorbed the Volari weapon. The colony, once Earth's frontier outpost, had become a symbol of the new galactic order. Dr. Blake, coordinating research teams, accessing newly opened architect repositories, made perhaps the most significant discovery. The architects hadn't merely left technology behind, they had created a testbed for younger species, a deliberately constructed challenge to promote cooperation over dominance. "They're still out there," she told Hamilton during a secure briefing. "The repositories contain communication protocols meant to be activated when we've proven ourselves worthy." Hamilton considered this revelation carefully. "Keep this between us for now. The galaxy needs time to adjust to current changes before contemplating the return of the architects themselves." Blake nodded. "The Volari suspected this truth. That's why they moved against us so urgently. And why they'll continue opposing us," Hamilton noted. "This isn't over." "No," Blake agreed. "But the rules have changed. We're not alone anymore." In the months that followed, humanity's position within galactic society transformed dramatically. Human diplomatic missions were welcomed on worlds that had previously viewed them with suspicion. Trade routes expanded, cultural exchanges flourished, and joint military exercises previously unthinkable became commonplace among alliance members. Speaker Zuthmar resigned his position, replaced by a moderate Volari, who, while still wary of humans, recognized the inevitable direction of galactic politics. The hardliners hadn't disappeared, however. They had merely retreated to rebuild their influence and develop new strategies. On Earth, citizens celebrated their new prominence with mixed emotions: pride in standing firm against intimidation, excitement about new technologies, and apprehension about future challenges. President Hamilton's approval rating reached historic highs, though he regularly reminded the public that vigilance remained essential. Admiral Morrison oversaw the expansion of Project Safeguard, now transformed into a mutual defense initiative involving multiple species. The shield technology that had saved New Austin was being adapted for diverse planetary environments, creating a network of protected worlds. Ambassador Carter found herself elevated to a new position: Special Envoy for Architect Integration, coordinating the complex diplomatic and scientific collaboration spreading throughout Senate space. Where once she had fought for humanity's mere acceptance, she now helped shape the very future of galactic civilization. During a rare moment of peace at the Lunar Observation Post, Morrison, Carter, and Hamilton stood together, watching Earth rotate serenely below. The same shield technology that had astonished the galaxy now protected their homeworld, invisible until needed yet ever-present. "We came close to war," Morrison observed. "Closer than most civilians realize." Carter nodded. "The Volari were prepared to eliminate us, rather than share the architect's legacy. They still might try, given the opportunity." "Then we won't give them that opportunity," Hamilton replied. "Our strategy remains unchanged: strength, without aggression; advancement, without dominance; cooperation, without naivety." Beyond the viewport, construction ships from 5 different species worked together, expanding the lunar base into what would become the first truly multi-species military installation in human space. In 50 years, Carter mused, we went from planetary isolation to this. Imagine the next 50. Hamilton smiled. The Volari imagined it, that's what frightened them. They saw a future where humanity's influence reshapes the galaxy. They weren't entirely wrong, Morrison noted. We are reshaping it, just not how they feared. As they turned to leave, a communication officer approached with a priority message. Mr. President, we've received transmission from Deep Space Observatory 7. They've detected unusual energy signatures from the galactic core patterns, matching theoretical architect communications. Hamilton exchanged knowing glances with his companions. Acknowledge receipt. Tell them to continue monitoring but maintain classification protocol. After the officer departed, Carter raised an eyebrow. It's happening faster than we anticipated. The galaxy is changing, Hamilton replied. We helped change it. Now we need to be ready for whatever comes next. As they walked through the lunar facility, representatives from a dozen species nodded respectfully or offered greetings. The fear that had once surrounded humans had transformed into something new, expectation, even hope. The galaxy had tried to disarm humanity, fearing what they might become. Instead, they had discovered what humanity already was determined innovative and ultimately committed to a future where advancement served all species, rather than empowering a few. The Volari had been right about one thing: human influence would indeed transform galactic civilization. But their greatest fear, that humans would become what the Volari themselves had been, jealous guardians hoarding power, had proven unfounded. In the end, the attempted disarmament had accomplished what decades of conventional diplomacy could not. It had forced the galaxy to truly see humanity not as a threat to be contained, but as a catalyst for a new and better future. The stars awaited, and humanity, alongside new allies, prepared to meet them.